Hello and welcome back to the Trainers of the World Tournament. I'm your host, DeltaTDS, and today we've got the Kalos Elite Four Wikstrom going up against the Hoenn Gym Leader Wattson. Wattson took out the Pokemon trainer back in round one. Kind of an upset, but he's here now. He's happy. He's ready to go. Wikstrom's got that Mega Scizor. We've seen multiple in this tournament. They've all done pretty good job. As Wattson's got that terrifying Mega Manectric. But once these trainers are ready, we can begin game 1 of match 87. Wattson leading off with that Magnezone. Klefki starting off with spikes, taking that Thunderbolt, setting up another layer of spikes, surviving another Thunderbolt, and sets up the third layer of spikes as it finally falls to a third Thunderbolt. Not going to be good for Wattson. If I'm thinking this correct, it'll take a quarter every time it switches out. Thunderbolt is going to deal a quarter to Probopass as Magnezone is taken down to Sturdy from that Earth Power. Earth Power does take out that Magnezone, as Probopass is sitting with over 2/3 of health right now. Raichu coming in, taking a quarter of damage. Nothing it can do about it. I think currently the only Pokemon that won't take anything is that Rotom Wash. Ferrothorn coming out here, taking 10% from Surf. Thunderbolt gonna deal 20% and get the paralysis as Ferrothorn goes for Hone Claws. I mean, if anything, that paralysis, if Ferrothorn has Gyro Ball, it's gonna make it even stronger. So, not the smartest move for Raichu. I mean, this thing's already got an abysmal 38 speed. But if it gets paralyzed, there's nothing it can really do. As Raichu's setting up nasty plots, thinking of devious things to do to this Ferrothorn. Missing the Thunder and Power Whip landing, taking out that Raichu. Did I say landing the Thunder? Wattson Mega Evolving that Manectric, intimidating the Ferrothorn, and Flamethrower does take out that Ferrothorn. Currently 4v4 right now. Wikstrom sending out that Probopass. Both switching out of there into the Rotom Wash. Earth Power not going to hit Rotom thanks to that Levitate. Rotom Wash is the last Pokemon left on Wattson's team that won't take any damage from these spikes. Hydro Pump takes out that Probopass, leaving Wikstrom with 3 Pokemon left. Alright, come back. Wikstrom sending out that Aegislash. Rotom getting that Will-O-Wisp off. Shadow Claw gonna do 30% thanks to that burn. Very unfortunate for Aegislash here. Ultra Switch gonna do over half to Aegislash. Switching out to that Ampharos. Shadow Claw gonna take it to just a little more than half health. Shadow Claw gonna take it down to under a third as Ampharos goes for Cotton Guard. Just laughing at this Aegislash here as it lands a crit Thunder. Wikstrom down to his second to last Pokemon, a Scavalier. This thing is also abysmally slow, but it's going for Swords Dance here. It's as slow as Ferrothorn. Third one, gonna take out the Ampharos. Wattson sending out that Manectric, getting the attack drop on a Scavalier. It's brought down to half thanks to those spikes. Flamethrower does finish off that Escavalier. As Scizor, Wikstrom's last Pokemon, is sent out here. Mega Evolving, go for the Bullet Punch. Flamethrower does take out Scizor. And with 3 Pokemon left, Wattson takes game 1. That Manectric is definitely the biggest threat to Wikstrom's team, especially with that Flamethrower. We didn't see anything from Electrode, and we barely saw anything from Magnezone. However, on Wikstrom's side, we only saw spikes from Klefki, we only saw Earth Power from Probopass, Bullet Punch from Scizor, and Shadow Claw from Aegislash. We're back in Game 2, and if Wikstrom wants to take Game 2, he'll have to efficiently take out that Manectric as quick as he can, because otherwise that thing's going to outspeed and Flamethrower everything in sight. But once these trainers are ready, we can begin game number 2. Wattson leading off with that Electrode. Wikstrom leading off with Klefki once more. Klefki setting up the spikes. Electrode going for Discharge, doing about 30%. Klefki going for another Slayer of Spikes. Gets paralyzed from that Discharge. And it gets the Parahacks due to that. Gets the third Spikes set up as Electrode goes for Double Team. Klefki does fall to a fourth Discharge as Ferrothorn is sent out here. Discharge not gonna get it paralyzed, but Ferrothorn sets up the Stealth Rocks as well. And is setting up the Hoenn Claws. This Electrode is doing everything it can to try and get this thing paralyzed. It's just not having luck. Still no luck. As Power Whip takes out that Electrode, trying to bypass that accuracy. Ferrothorn sitting at +2 attack and +2 accuracy, while Wattson's got to deal with spikes and Stealth Rocks. Manectric brought down to under 2/3 of health, immediately coming in. Intimidate gonna get rid of 1 attack boost, as Flamethrower does take out that Ferrothorn. Sending out the Probopass here. Manectric gonna go for Volt Switch, and last time we saw it switch into that Rotom Wash to predict the Earth Power. My Melatonin has dissolved completely now. Going for its own Volt Switch. Trying to figure out what to safely switch into this Rotom here. Going for the Aegislash. Setting up the King's Shield. Not protect it from the burn. So it protects it from attacks. Aegislash, once again, not gonna do much thanks to that burn. But Hydro Pump gonna do 40% as Shadow Claw does a quarter. Rotom's down to 12%. Gets the crit and takes out that substitute Of course, when it needed it the most. Hydro Pump does take out that Aegislash, and Wikstrom is down to 3 Pokemon left. Sending out the Scizor here, Mega Evolving and Bullet Punching that Rotom. Now, I believe none of Wikstrom or Wattson's Pokemon are going to be able to avoid the spikes. Unless Magnezone has Air Balloon. I've forgotten. Ampharos coming out here, taking over a third of damage from the hazards. Going for Bug Bite, dealing over half to Ampharos. Ampharos is going for Thunder, dealing about the same amount of damage to Scizor. Another Bug Bite finishes off that Ampharos. As Raichu is sent out here. Scizor switching out to Escavalier, dodging the Thunder. Unfortunate miss for Raichu here. Currently a 3v3 right now. Wattson's not really able to switch out a lot thanks to those hazards. Because the second he switches Manectric in, it's down to less than a quarter of health. Probably even... no, less than a third of health. Probably even a quarter of health. So Wattson's got to make sure the switches are absolutely necessary to come out on top here. Okay. Raichu going for Thunder, missing again. Escavalier going for a Drill Run. Wattson's down to 2 Pokemon left. Manectric being brought down to a quarter of health left. Like I've said, this thing is extremely fast. And a Flamethrower is probably going to take out everything on the field on Wikstrom's team. Flamethrower does take out that Escavalier. As Wikstrom sends out that Scizor. Bullet Punch does take out the Manectric. And it's just Magnezone left with 70% health. A little more than the rest of the Pokemon had, except for Rotom. Going for Protect. Scouting out the Bullet Punch here, as it heals up a little from that leftovers. Bullet Punch gonna do 6%. Thunderbolt doing 36 and getting the paralysis on Scizor. Very unfortunate for Scizor. But we'll see if it can pull through that paralysis. Get one last Bullet Punch off. Nope, it's being protected. Well, let's see if it can do it now. Does get it off, but that damage will be healed up immediately thanks to that leftovers. It's now down to Probopass and Magnezone here. Magnezone's not going to be able to hide away from that Earth Power. But it does go for Protect to just scout it out and make sure. Well, let's heal up a little from that leftovers. Thunderbolt's going to do 27%. Earth Power does take out the Magnezone. And Wikstrom takes game number 2. That game, we saw Electrode. And we saw a little bit more from Magnezone. As for Wikstrom's side, we still only saw the spikes from Klefki. Wikstrom took care of that Manectric. He got more hazards set up, and he was able to deal with Wattson effectively. We are now back on the field for game number 3 here. And once these trainers are ready, we can see who will be moving on to round 3 to battle the winner of tomorrow's match. Sending out the Magnezone. Wikstrom for the 3rd game in a row. I mean, Klefki is a pretty solid beat. It's got the Prankster ability. Give it a Focus Sash, guarantee something out there. Klefki setting up 2 layers of spikes here. It's going to be able to set up a 3rd layer. Thanks to that Prankster, as a crit Thunderbolt does take out Klefki. Sending out the Ferrothorn after. You've seen that this thing does have Stealth Rock. So unless this Magnezone can somehow miraculously take out Ferrothorn, it will not be able to avoid that. And now all of Wattson's Pokemon except for Rotom Wash will be taking a third every time they switch out. Ferrothorn go for Power Whip, dealing only a quarter to Magnezone. Ball doing even less. Ferrothorn is taking Thunderbolts like crazy. Going Gyro Ball after Gyro Ball. Barely scratching this Magnezone here, as it goes for Protect to heal up just a little bit more. Thunderbolt leaving Ferrothorn on 3%. Magnezone's finally brought down to 50%, just to be healed up a little bit thanks to those leftovers. And it switches out to the Probopass. Interesting, keeping the Ferrothorn alive. Flash Cannon is going to do 27% as Earth Power takes out that Magnezone. Sending out the Rotom Wash here, getting damaged by the Stealth Rocks. Hydro Pump missing the Probopass. Volt Switch is going to land on that Rotom. And switching into the Escavalier. I don't believe this Rotom has something to hit it super effectively. It does have Will-O-Wisp, but Escavalier counters that with a Swords Dance. We've seen Escavalier have both Swords Dance and Drill Run, as well as Mega Horn, which it miraculously landed. Mega Horn does take out that Rotom, as it sits at a third of health. Oh, Zoom Lance, it does have the Zoom Lance. Okay. I am being told that. Wikstrom, I believe for the first time, ahead of Wattson now. Right, you coming out here, taking a third of damage from the hazards. Not feeling too great. Surf, not going to take it out as Drill Run finishes off that Raichu. Escavalier is putting on a lot of work here. Wattson's throwing everything he can at this Escavalier. And I might be wrong, but I think Wattson might be saving his Manectric for last, so that it can't take 2/3 damage from hazards. Might be crazy. Wikstrom sending out the Aegislash here. Electrode going for foul play as Aegislash goes for Shadow Claw, taking out the Electrode. It's now a 4v2 right now, deciding which Pokemon to go into, Manectric or Ampharos. Whichever one he sends it, and he has to make sure it's what he wants sent out. Because if he switches out, some Pokemon's going to be brought down to a third just from hazards alone. Thunder is gonna take out that Aegislash as Scizor is sent out here. Bullet Punch not gonna take out the Ampharos, but Thunder does miss that Scizor. Another Bullet Punch does take out Ampharos, as Manectric is left as the final Pokemon on the field. Bullet Punch is gonna do 18%, leaving it under half health. Wikstrom is sending out that Probopass, dealing 25% to it. Earth Power does take out the Manectric, and with 2 Pokemon remaining, Wikstrom takes game number 3. Got really close looked like it was getting really close at the end there. Thought we were going to see the Manectric sweep, but Robot Pass being pretty tanky. Wikstrom will be moving on to round 3, where he'll be facing the winner of tomorrow's match, Nanu or Karen. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, take care.